I'm helping smokers to quit nicotine. It's for addiction. If you like my product, you are my target customer. You are my target user, which is smoker. If you don't like it, if you fought me because you do not smoke, because you don't know how hard it is to quit nicotine, to quit smoking, I don't care. I don't need to educate you. You are not my target customer. I'm not here to convert anybody from a non-smoker to a smoker. So why do I bother?
Oh yeah, we're back. Episode 46, Internet Explorers, with an absurd show for you today. Absolutely absurd. We got so much good stuff happening here today. I'm gonna, instead of jumping right into the shows, I'm gonna slow down a little bit here, Josh. It's Friday, the first, second. It's Friday the 13th.
Is it?
Yeah. How are you doing now that you have that bit of information in your brain?
Unaffected.
Cool. Me too. I like it. Yeah. But how's life then, Josh? You're in
good,
the old abode for another day or two, and then we're off.
Maybe. Yeah, for another day. Kind of dreading the 23 hours of travel to Singapore, but we're gonna get there and we're gonna see how we feel. But it was a pretty fun week out of crypto, actually. Like debate, bunch of AI developments, people in space,
Mhm.
just lots of cool.
Yeah, you got stoked about that image, eh? The people in space.
Yeah, space gets me going.
All right. Yeah, there's something. So we've had an amazing summer of Northern Lights here this year, and I guess it came out again 2 nights ago. There's something special about just lying back and staring up into the sky and being lost in the infiniteness of it all. All right, we're going to get way too philosophical here. Maybe that's a good setup into the conversation we're going to have here today.
Perfect.
Awesome show. We've got Reffo from Puffpaw here. Broke the internet last week, just saying, hey, we raised some money, and a lot of opinions, which I think we'll get into. But I think excited to dive into what's the there with Reffo around Puffpaw, because there's something special bubbling there. I think we're going to talk about FriendTech. Oh man, that one stings for me. It's probably one of my bigger losses this year. It lasted a while, and I think it's the most depressing thing is I had actually had hope for it, but good lessons learned there. We can talk into it. We're talking about Drip. Cool. We'll talk about Drip. Tune.fm. Sentiment is bad.
That's a carryover from last week.
Okay, sentiment bad. We're still early. Make applications great again. Yeah, that's a good hat. Oh no, same hat. Can't.
No, the hat. Yeah. The hat. I think the hat lists it out or spells it out. It's a different hat.
MAGA. Okay. And lightning right on. Cool. Well, let's just jump right into it. I want to get Reffo up here. My man, how you doing?
Hey guys. Good. How are you guys?
We are good.
I'm just saying, seeing the animation of my fundraising news on the screen for 5 minutes, staring at it is just so weird.
The thing to draw our attention to is that little number there on the bottom, the 1.1 million views on a fundraising announcement, which Josh sent me last week, being like, oh, okay, we thought that the most drama would be dredged up by a fundraising announcement, but I think it made people feel a bunch of ways. So there's so many things we get into here, but I think it's probably important for you to give the TLDR pitch here, because I think a lot of people are making assumptions about what your mission is, why you're doing this. So let's give them an opportunity just to hear from the horse's mouth, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're building here is a new type of vaporizers. Actually, we're building a game. It's a vape-to-earn game. And you see we're here, building a new type of device here. I'm actually holding here. It's a version for Zai for the game, but it's a customized one, right? So basically, we have the vape here, customized vape. We have the pod, we have the vape here. So as a smoker, our mission is to incentivize smokers to either migrate to the vape or vapors to lower their nicotine addiction. So this is fully customized building house. You have the vape and the pod, you have the Bluetooth module. So every time a user goes into the game, and he will connect to our mobile app, and he can monitor his smoking, his vaping activities. And because our pod goes with different nicotine levels, we are using the token incentive to motivate smokers to lower their nicotine addiction, lower their nicotine dosage. So if you go with a non-nicotine, you are maximizing your daily rewards. The higher nicotine, the lower and lower of your financial rewards if you vape more, right? So that's just to, for the nicotine addiction, to quit nicotine addiction. We do think that vape is a fun thing for the young folks, for the next generation. That's a trend. So we're building a lot of the social part into the device. For example, we have the NFC here. Every time you're tapping with another guy holding the same vape, you guys will add friends and you'll earn more of a token in the game. And the most important part is that because you have to keep the vape, but you have to keep buying the new pods in order to keep using our product. So every time you're buying the new pods, you have to spend a pop token. And that's the number one utility for a token. Yeah, so this is literally a game for all of the vapors, for all of the smokers, trying to, balance between their social, the mental health and their physical health.
Ref, I'm curious, so maybe to zoom out for a sec, like you've worked in the vape industry for a while. I think the company you founded distributed 76 million vapes or something last year, like some big numbers. Like you've been deep in this industry for a while. So I'm curious where this insight for this product came from, or like at what point, you're like, oh shit, this isn't good. We need to start incentivizing people to, reduce their vaping intake. So just curious kind of how you went from, being deep into the industry to realizing this opportunity and wanting to run at it.
Yeah, definitely. So me and my other two co-founders, we are actually college friends. My other two co-founders, they are in the vaping industry since graduating from college. Me personally, I was I'm in Web3 since the pandemic. Right now it's like 4 years. I was building my social fi project on Arweave. That was last year. And the market was not good, so I sunset the previous project and went back to the Web2 space to help my two other co-founders to build a vape business. So I was in the vape industry for the second half of last year, just fully doing the marketing, doing the connection, building the vape partners in the US. And I consider myself to be very pure Web3 native guy. So I always have this in my mind. What if we can bring vaporizers on chain? Like I know how many people smoke when you are going to East Denver, you're going to crypto conferences, everybody's smoking there. So that's my observation. And I know if I can bring it on chain and somehow earn the crypto and smoking, that's gonna be wild. Like that's a very degen game, right? So I know that's gonna be viral, but I just didn't find the right way to do it. You cannot just incentivize folks to hurt their health, right? So we were talking a lot about how we can build this into a positive direction. So a lot of early days writing the white paper and deal with that. But all of the foundation from what we're doing here is because we were in the vape industry for a long time. Like my co-founders, they still involved in the day-to-day business in the Web2 side. That's why we can use our own resources to manufacture our own vape. Like we don't outsource this to a third party. One of my co-founder, Jack, he used to be the global BD for S'more, one of the top vape company in the world, and also Aspire. And also one of the biggest thing we did is we supply over 76 million of the vaporizers for Philip Morris, for IQOS, the heat no burn type of vaporizers. So a lot of a lot of things because we were in that industry, we have this kind of experience or knowledge of what's the inefficiency or the problem with that industry. So using the Puffpaw, the vape-to-earn game, we're trying to revolutionize the industry and also bring more fun to the Web3 folks, to the smokers.
Can you tell me about the decision or how you came to the decision around the chain to build on? Because it feels like that it's like the 1-2 punch of those that makes this a very interesting opportunity for you.
Yeah, so it's a different problem. When I started,
actually,
I know.
Hold on, Reffo. I'm gonna jump in here. We're having a hard time with your audio, so maybe if you just turn off your camera, that'll help with our bandwidth. People see your face, get his face.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, there we go. That's
it's better
on the internet. Anyways.
I'm sorry. I'm in Malaysia right now and just waiting for tomorrow's conferences, Web3 conferences. But okay, cool. So in the early days, like I know this is a DeepIn project. I have several options, for the consumer, for the DeepIn base or Solana or a new, layer one blockchain. And I met some folks at East Denver, within the Bear Chain ecosystem. It's a very fun community, a very degen new layer one. there's a lot of attention, and there's people always ask this question: what's the difference between you and Stepin? I think Stepin, it's a pioneer there for the to earn mechanism. But here, what we are doing here is definitely a different model because we have the physical, we have the tangible product to back this mechanism. We are like the step in with a pair of real sneakers. We are selling sneakers. Today, if they launch a new sneaker brand selling sneakers, I believe tons of Web3 folks will buy the sneaker because they have the great memory when playing with a step in game. Maybe somebody lose money, maybe they earn money, but they have a lot of fun with that, right? That's the point for a consumer product. So with Puffpaw, what we're doing here, even without the token incentive in the long term, as long as we can
If I was to describe Puffpaw as a meme coin,
the great quality of the
what's your response to
vaping
that? I know you're
experiences
putting it
as
into
the other
DPIN.
general
If I put it over into the meme
then
category,
we're building
how
a
does that
consumer
make you feel?
brand. There's a acknowledge, there's a loyalty around that brand. So of course, the to earn mechanism in the long term, your incentive will drop lower and lower and lower because you are onboarding more users on the platform, right? Into this tokenomics, this token game. And what's growing there is your loyalty around this brand, and it's what's the your accruing value there. That's a real value of the consumer brand, and that's very different from a financial product. That's why we're trying to standing about a project. I don't what I'm building here. A lot of attention. Like you have a lot of attention around memes. That's the best part, right? So I love it. Like I don't care if you don't understand this. It's fine because we are helping people to quit nicotine. That's addiction. I'm not trying to teach you, hey, snowboarding is fun. You should learn snowboarding. I'm helping smokers to quit nicotine. It's for addiction. If you like my product, you are my target customer. You are my target user, which is smoker. If you don't like it, if you fought me because you do not smoke, because you don't know how hard it is to quit nicotine, to quit smoking, I don't care. I don't need to educate you. You are not my target customer. I'm not here to convert anybody from a non-smoker to a smoker. So why do I bother? So I really have no feeling about that.
Yeah, I love it. I think one of the other big points of pushback, or I guess maybe big open questions, is just the sustainability of the token model potentially. So I'm curious if you looked at like Stepin or Sweatcoin or any of these previous like do thing do stuff in the physical kind of real world and earn token models and have learned anything from those and brought those into Puffpaw.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, people always ask this question: what's the difference between you and Stepin? I think Stepin, it's a pioneer there for the to earn mechanism. But here, what we are doing here is definitely a different model because we have the physical, we have the tangible product to back this mechanism. We are like the step in with a pair of real sneakers. We are selling sneakers. Today, if they launch a new sneaker brand selling sneakers, I believe tons of Web3 folks will buy the sneaker because they have the great memory when playing with a step in game. Maybe somebody lose money, maybe they earn money, but they have a lot of fun with that, right? That's the point for a consumer product. So with Puffpaw, what we're doing here, even without the token incentive in the long term, as long as we can provide the great quality of the vaping experiences as the other general vaporizers, then we're building a consumer brand. There's a acknowledge, there's a loyalty around that brand. So of course, the to earn mechanism in the long term, your incentive will drop lower and lower and lower because you are onboarding more users on the platform, right? Into this tokenomics, this token game. And what's growing there is your loyalty around this brand, and it's what's the your accruing value there. That's a real value of the consumer brand, and that's very different from a financial product. That's why we're trying to experiment as one was understanding here.
That's awesome. I think we should leave it there. We're having a bit of audio problems here. I think we got the biggest pieces through. Maybe last minute, you guys are doing a bunch of stuff on the ground. You're in Singapore. I think you were in Korea before. I'm assuming you'll be in Singapore next. Is there something people should be aware of, or is there an upcoming thing? How do people stay in the loop and make sure they get to be on the inside here when you launch Puffpaw?
So I think that's a good question. I don't even have an answer for that because this consumer industry, this vape industry that we are working on, it's so unique. It's one of the most wild and traditional consumer industry in among all of the segments because you have e-commerce in every single, but there's no Web2 consumer for the vaporizers because it's tobacco product, and we are still living with a very traditional way of distributor and with local
Reffo, we got to stop
local
you, brother.
stores.
We can't really hear you right now. So we're gonna say thank you, chalk this up to unfortunate internet, and look forward to seeing you in person next week. Maybe you can see Puffpaw on Twitter here. It's probably the best place to follow it, and we'll definitely let you know if there's other things to go do. Reffo, appreciate you joining us, man. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I wish you well in your travels, and we'll see you soon.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry for that.
Perfect. It's all good, man. It happens. Glad we got you for when we got you.
Yeah, Malaysian internet, not good.
I feel like this is my internet every once in a while too. On Fridays, it's actually been pretty good. So I think it's interesting to see like sort of like the various conversations that this one piece of content led, and I would say like there's this sort of general, how did this thing get funded? Well, a whole bunch of X didn't get funded, which I think always come up around these things, but these sort of maybe more controversial fundraisers. But I think to me, I asked that meme coin question because to me that is really, I think the opportunity here. It's Berachain is this dynamic community, pushing forward an innovative project. Some questions around it, but there's zero question around the community and excitement there. Like that is very clear. And I think once they have the product live, that changes a lot of things as well. So, group of people who care, like to buy stuff for crypto, and then this really weird, idea comes out, and I think there's something interesting about having the actual infrastructure. So like the item itself, and I think there's just like a lot of interesting things to be done around token rewards and intention incentivization. Even if you just take the actual smoking mechanics or vape mechanics out of the equation, which obviously they don't. So I think it's meme coin. And I think the conversation about what makes a difference is really a question around what is the mechanism that changes this from just purely speculative into something that has long-term sustainable value. And I think my general take here is like, we don't know what works. And so the more interesting and the weirder things that come out are, I think the more likely they have a chance to not to capture the amount of attention to allow us to have a meaningful experiment on the mechanism. And to me, that's what crypto's about. Right, we are sort of in this early stage of figuring out mechanisms. If you look at where excitement is coming in the industry, it is really around that. So we'll see what the ultimate result is here, but there's zero doubt that it is meme coin status with a million views on a fundraising announcement. Don't even have a product out in the world, and there's a whole bunch of interesting things there. So that's my interest in it. I think anytime we can figure out these sort of attention market dynamics in new and interesting ways, I'm here for it, and I think it's going to be an interesting one to be a part of.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think it being in, this like kind of social network and token world, being in an economic relationship with a real business is actually a meaningful new thing compared to these other like to earn products we've seen before. And, obviously like something we think a lot about at Seed Club, right? It's like we're building this big scene and attention base of people who really care about, where the internet's going and the next iteration of it. And how can we, run businesses in relationship to it, benefiting from it, providing value back to it in this really elegant way where, the business does the things businesses are good at, the network does things networks are good at, and kind of sustainably create value alongside each other. So yeah, I think this is a great new experiment.
I think for those people I think there's a group of people that were really interested in group of people who are very much not interested in meme coins, very interested in, say, governance or DAOs, and I think the core desire there is for more equitable, fair, open, profitable internet for individual creators, etc. And I think what I'm worried about is I see a lot of folks that were very excited about that world, not excited or playing in this world, which I'd say is sort of moving away from governance and into distribution or attention. And I think something like Puffpaw, there are clearly others, are more likely to be the successful tools to get to that sort of world that I think we're trying to build with DAOs than sort of being anchored in where DAOs were 2 years ago. So it's sort of attention networks or incentive networks or whatever. feels like a meaningful thing. I feel like we're still trying to like wrestle with that. I guess I would call it a reality, or at least maybe new way of thinking about stuff. Or it's not new. I think it's interesting. Incentive networks will probably do more than DAOs ever have.
Yeah,
it's not even a bold statement. It's yeah.
Cool.
Oh, FriendTech is a good example of this.
Let's jump to FriendTech. Yeah. So
what is actually happening here? Because I've seen all these things and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think so through two announcements this week, FriendTech, I think they essentially announced that they were discontinuing further development on the product. So their first tweet was that they had kind of announced ownership of the contract. So no new changes could be made from it. And then I think just this clarifying post that they added to it just made it pretty clear that they were just like, it wasn't getting shut down, but they were just clearly not working on it and investing in it anymore. And, the product generated almost $90 million in fees over the course of the year it was live, with vast majority of them coming from, the first like 2 months of kind of wild activity, but, saw a pretty big spike, short-lived when they launched V2 and launched their friend token. And, I think crypto Twitter understandably was pretty mad about this announcement, and, really just the idea that the dev team is walking away with $44 million, and, they launched this token and kind of didn't put any effort into actually driving any value to it. So I don't know, curious what you make of this.
Complicated thoughts. Yeah, I mean, caveat, I don't think anybody really knows what the intention behind this is, but I share disappointment around it. I think there's, FriendTech had an opportunity to be, in that token launch, this purely community-owned product with an interesting revenue model behind it. Like, I don't think that they actually, and I think maybe the frustrating piece is I don't think they actually took a good run at it. Like V2 was not, I mean, it was trash. It was trash. Like, it was just not compared to where it had been and what I think where expectations were. And so, and when it launched, it was kind of like people were like, what the hell, this is it. And then there was no sort of meaningful iterations on it. I think that it's really the unfortunate part, right? Because they had the attention, they had a mechanism, they had so much going for it. So maybe just not mad, just disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I stand too. And I remember when V2 came out, we started developing this like pet theory that they were kind of intentionally holding back features just to like control and control momentum a bit, because we really believe that this was the thing that they went heads down on for 6 months, and we're like really hyping up for 6 months, and then really all that changed was there was now a token and like a built-in DEX. So yeah, I think I share that disappointment. I think the other thing that just sucks is it's another example of short-term minded people playing short-term games, and the fact that you just like can't trust a paradigm investment is also just kind of
well, I think this is
in this case, right? Like, I think you need to, it's just crazy that it's no signal whatsoever of a long-term minded founder going to communicate effectively and do right by their community, and all these things that you kind of need to believe in to really sign up and want to participate in the adventure. And the fact that they just, I don't know, seemingly from the outside put so little effort into it, I think it's in hindsight kind of easy to look at this now and be like, it was V2 and this token launch purely just a way to like extract the last little bit of attention that they had, capture fees, and then just run away. So I think it's just, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a fucking shitty thing.
Well, I mean, what do you think? Do you think there's a V3, or because this isn't the racer? This is racer MO, right? This is, and we do it 3 times. Shame on me to whatever the hell. Don't get shamed again, right? And so it's like, is there a next act here, or do you think this is
I mean, I heard rumors that they're now building like a crypto OnlyFans or something, but I don't see how at this point they just haven't burned all credibility and trust that they have.
You give too much credibility to crypto people, my friend.
I don't know. I mean, let's see.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think.
I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think if you're going to be a dick as a founder on Twitter, you better be able to back it up. And so I just think I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think this point by Hasu was interesting, where he was just saying, at least if it were an actual DAO, that revenue would go into a pot controlled by token holders. But I think in reality, like I was kind of looking at it, let's say half of the fees went to a DAO, that's $20 million. The token's trading at 9 million now. It would maybe be trading at NAV at best, probably discounted from NAV. So it actually wouldn't have really changed much.
I mean, I think what it changes is you have and I tweeted about this earlier. I think we're seeing a lot of teams. The most common thing when we ask what's your go-to-market strategy is somebody will flash up a slide that has KOLs on it, and it's just like, cool, but that's not unique or competitive whatsoever. And we're starting to see so many of these teams pair KOLs with on-chain affiliate type mechanisms, right? And what that does, it means, especially if it's mutable and on-chain, these guys can go build and invest in growing that lead flow and trust that revenue for the long term. So there's sort of like an ongoing business model that you can participate in. And I think they're, having a fee split here and sort of with the intention of building it into a platform could create, especially if there's interest and volume going through it, mechanisms for others to come and build on top of it, which would be the bull case there. But I think
sure, but that would have solved the fact that they just stopped working on it and walked away. Like, I think that in conjunction with them continuing to like push the vision forward and guide the project.
Yeah, no doubt there. I don't think putting it in a DAO solves it. I mean, here's the case. There was like 100 people using FriendTech 2 weeks ago. 27 transactions in a day. The product's not working. So what do you do with it? The right answer is probably to shut it down if you're a founder and investors, right? So it's probably the right decision. But the challenge is you got a lot of people that put money into believing in you.
But I also think those signs existed 6 months ago, right? And then it was like, oh, we're going heads down. We're building a V2. It's coming out it's completely different. It's like, okay, cool. You've learned something. You're going to take a new swing at a new product. Let's go. And that just wasn't at all what happened.
Yeah. I don't think I'm going to be putting money into the next FriendTech thing. Feel bad about kind of what I put in so far. I feel very good about the category generally, and so I don't feel bad about what I put in so far because I'm just like to participate in the category. But my God, it's just like I think I'm going to bring a golf reference in. There's this to me the most frustrating part of golf. You step up, you have a great shot, you're lined, you're ready. You step up, and you're like, this is going to be. Picture it in your mind. You're like, this is going to be great, and you swing and you hit and you duck the ball 40 feet. It's not that you duck the ball 40 feet. It's like the difference between that feeling of what could have been and what actually happened is like, that feeling. That's how I feel about FriendTech. There's could have been so much more. And we just ducked the ball 40 down feet. But I'm glad they made $40 million. Congrats to them. I'm not glad about that at all, actually. Well, I don't know, man. I like your framing of this, and I'm interested to see, because if right now there is a premium that people put on joining Paradigm for a certain type of founder, it's probably a great fit for a certain type of founder. But really what we hear is like, oh, Paradigm has a crazy Paradigm equals Asia. So if you get Paradigm on board, the Asia markets love it. And we've had this conversation with I think a number of teams. I don't know if that changes with something like this, but I think it's an interesting thought. And I think maybe the flip side, because I think one of the things that we hold as a core value is building for the long term. But if you truly believe in crypto and the benefits of crypto, we're going to see that compound over the next 20 years, not over the next 3 months.
Totally.
And I just think that is, well, we're going to be really right or really fucking wrong about that, Josh, but it's an important piece for us.
Well, it's also just, I just wonder where the communication around this is, right? Like they've said nothing. Racer has said nothing.
They won't say anything.
It's like you can fail, like this was a weird swing. Like there's, it's expected to fail.
No, I don't think that's true here though. I don't think you can say you can fail, because so you can fail. Hey, we're shutting down our thing. You can remove your data, etc. When you fail as a crypto project, you have a very, it's the hate, the intensity, I'm poor now, like all that sort of stuff, which you're getting already, is just going to be multiplied. So I think there is a meaningful difference in shutting down a crypto project. And I think actually this entire situation, I think, has actually led to a lot of really good conversation around how to actually shut down a crypto project well. And
right.
And there's a few others that are shutting down right now. And I think, I think it was the flash loan with the CryptoPunk earlier in the week that got bought for 10 ETH. And,
so what should they do?
Should a website
market buy $44 million of Friend? Is that what they should do?
No, I just don't. I don't think there's a good answer here, right? I don't think there's a good answer here. I mean, I think, yeah. I think more importantly, it's just like the complications around shutting down a crypto project.
I think the least you can do is transparently communicate to all these people that believed in.
I'm not excusing how they've handled it. I just disagree that I don't think people have the same failure take towards crypto as they do to broader startups. There is something different there.
Fair.
Which is why it's crazy to build in the space. What are we doing with our lives? I love it. Let's go. All right, let's move on. That's way too much time on FriendTech. Honestly, we spend more time on FriendTech here than I actually spent on FriendTech using it. So let's move on.
Yeah, let's go Drip. So Drip, the Solana-based NFT platform, announced an $8 million raise this week. So they're primarily focused on helping artists get distribution, build community, and have onboarded over 800 artists and distributed millions of NFTs over the past few years. And right now, their kind of main focus, it seems, is building towards the release of their mobile app, which is expected to drop in the next few months. So wanted to bring this up. One of the most prominent protocols, products on Solana, innovated on a lot of kind of NFT distribution mechanics. Also know you participated as an angel in this round. So want to just kind of throw it over to you and get a pulse on like where your interest in this project is,
Sure.
and tease out the bull case for.
So we've had Vibu on the show before a couple months ago, and I think they've become the dominant collectibles platform on Solana. And I think I was first introduced to them probably about a year or two ago from Chris, who was just sending me these messages being like, yo, look at just how many NFTs these guys are being able to move, right? And it's in the orders of millions, something you just very much couldn't do on any EVM chain at the time. So there's sort of like the Solana allowed them to have a different model in the NFT space. This idea of sort of drips, these sort of in-game points that you can collect and spend, and then ultimately moved into a marketplace and auctions and stuff like that, and are generating, the core goal is to generate revenue for creators. And so I think there's clear traction there. It's doing something that you couldn't do before, which is kind of allowing them to explore in a new space, which I would say is sort of like really trying to take the benefits of NFTs, but also open the tent quite a bit. But honest to God, you just go spend 10 minutes talking to Vibu and you're like, yeah, you'd back this dude. Just like
For sure.
Crazy operator. So I think
largely a founder bet.
Well, I mean, I think there's
category bet,
traction and revenue, and they're breaking things on Solana because they're trying to do like there's a whole lot of things that are going well there. I think again, this is an example of the attention network. And the simplest form, you're showing up on Drip, you're rewarded with these droplets, these in-game points, and you can then accrue and spend, etc. And so it scratches that itch for me as well. And we're talking about like hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of collections here too, right? So scale here compared to what exists elsewhere is pretty meaningful.
Yeah, I think it's interesting kind of following the evolution of their mechanism over time, because I think initially when they launched and we were first kind of playing around with it, it was like a single go to Drip, click subscribe, and you just get this like airdrop stream of new art from artists that they were partnering with. And then I think likely they kind of realized how great for the collector, you just get a bunch of NFTs. Probably realize how little value that was actually driving to the artist.
No, it was actually the shift from that, I believe, was driven by the fact that the Solana needs L2s now. Lol. So I think they actually
they just couldn't keep
distribute. Yeah.
But I think still, right? Like so many people, like if I can go and click and get a bunch of NFTs and maybe some of them are somewhat valuable, like that's a very easy thing to go do. And I think I couldn't name a single artist of the like thousands of Drip NFTs I've probably got. So I think I'm not sure how much value that actually drove to artists. So I think the evolution that they've gone over, which was so starting there, and then I think you had to go and subscribe to individual artists, and then you would get that artist's feed. And then now it looks like they're actually kind of moving increasingly closer to like the Zora model, for example, where you actually have to go and explicitly secure like each mint. And I think that makes sense, right? Like ultimately, like artists are using this for this like top of funnel awareness distribution. Obviously, they hope they could sell, higher value NFTs over time, but this is the place where they can go attract people, show them their art, get community. And you need some level of like intent and artist discovery for that to actually be effective. So
I think like what we see here is a couple leading companies that are trying to figure out what the right market mechanism is here to turn this into a massive business. Zora, I think, is the other good example, and maybe put in a couple of the NFT marketplaces in there as well. But I think it's interesting to see the market evolve to a point where we have a couple like very well-funded companies going after this category, and both of them are continuing to iterate significantly, right? Like I don't have faith that the current model for Zora will be the model in the future. I think that they're going to continue to figure out what the right mechanism is to grow this network, and it's the same thing that the Drip team's doing.
I do my guess is it ends up looking something closer to what Zora looks like today than what Drip looks like.
These things just all feel like they're going towards social networks.
It has to, right? Like the value here is distribution and attention, and you need to go build high frequency products that people are going because their friends are there, they're checking in every day, And then,
in the transaction.
Yeah, exactly. So I think increasingly, I think Drip's going that direction. That's kind of where Zora's always been. Obviously, continue to iterating on the mechanics and figuring out how to have a more meaningful social graph and getting just everyone to post it and collect at higher frequencies. So yeah, they're going to meet in the middle somewhere, and it's going to be it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I often say, like, it took the internet, a decade or more to find the killer business model for the internet, and I think we're coming into that season. It's Google AdWords and then Facebook newsfeed. Like, where are we in that right now?
I do think an interesting point here is actually talking to a few people recently who, kind of more anchored in like the ETH ecosystem, but wanted to come try Drip and see how it worked, and largely found less success here just because of how undeveloped the like on-chain distribution ecosystem is on Solana compared to ETH. Like, you can't, doing a drop on Zora and boosting it and getting it distributed through Daylight and Coinbase Wallet and running layer 3 quests and like all this stuff you can do to drive attention and get like compounding distribution on ETH that you can't do on Solana, I think ultimately ended up creating a ton more value for them. So have talked to a few teams recently on Solana that are kind of starting to bring that thinking over. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when that gets a little bit more built out.
Do I sound way better now?
Yes.
Thank you to the team who's telling me that I had my mic set wrong.
I couldn't tell. I was like, maybe you did. I didn't want to fuck with stuff. No, usually I'm on that.
You are usually on it because of this thing. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome to the second half of this show where we have my voice good again. Yeah. I mean, there's so many. All the stuff comes back to me if you think about just the big tech shifts that are happening here and the disruption that'll sort of emerge from that and ultimately where value flows. I think that's what's driving, so many builders right now and realizing that attention distribution probably the valuable piece to own here.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's a race, baby.
I do think this sound interesting kind of back and forth between, I think, Cooper and some like sound creators. He's all in on incentivizing boost, like marketing channels, distribution channels. In my mind, like largely like we kind of need that to bootstrap this ecosystem as like the social products kind of get their footing, more people get on chain, more people start collecting. So I think I see like boost and incentivize collections as this very powerful tool to kind of bootstrap this nascent kind of social context that ultimately needs to get richer and richer for collecting really to make sense, I think, and the consumer behavior to catch on. But it's also interesting seeing how much these kind of more pure kind of creatives and artists just kind of like resent
oh my god
thing, or like maybe it's like I'm not getting boosted, so I'm mad about it, and that person's getting boosted. I'm not sure where the sentiment is, but I see it as just like a critical piece of standing this ecosystem up. And I don't know, Cooper's seeing a lot of value in it. So
yeah, I mean, you could be mad about growth marketing, but like it is a reality. There's a thread. I get the sentiment. People are like, it doesn't feel like a fair playground for me to play on. So there's others who have an advantage here. And I think what's interesting about this post is that this person is a music NFT creator, and this is not the first. There's been probably 7 people call out Cooper for doing this, and what he's doing is using Boost and Layer 3 and these other sort of questing platforms or demand generating platforms as a way of getting NFTs minted, and sound and the referral mechanisms sort of allow for revenue to be generated there. And if you can do that on break even, you could do that forever and bring a ton of value to his clients, which is his artists, etc. And so I think he's been pretty upfront about it. But I think this dynamic between that I sort of read in this thread is like there's somewhere like my last music NFT sold 2.
Yeah, I think it's in here.
Right. And I'm like, yeah, right. So what do you do about that then? Right. Well, here's one solution. You try to drive demand towards it. Is that the right solution? I don't know. But if you're not trying to figure out right solution, so there's just, I don't know, it's just a ridiculous thread as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if the intention really was investor comes in to use platform to drive volume to make investment more valuable,
which is not at all what this is.
That's not at all what it is. And I don't even know if that's, I mean, would invite people to come in and see how the sausage is made on your favorite Web 2 app and or Web 3 app, right? Like it's bloody knife fight out there, So I think people are just like, oh, I want things to be my way, which fuck, I want things to be my way too. But then there's the reality of the world. And so maybe we should engage with the reality of the world. And I would say it's the same thing about the Puffpaw fundraise. Why didn't XYZ? Why isn't my thing getting fun?
That's the thing. It's like,
it's not good fit for what venture is looking for.
I want the outcomes of that game, but I don't want to play that game. I want to play this game.
Yeah. You're going to have a bad time. Yeah. So And I think people are having a bad time, and maybe that's the thing, right? People are having a bad time, and it's driving us. So it will change. Good luck to you all.
Okay, let's jump to Tune FM. So I actually hadn't heard of this platform at all, but it's interesting. So decentralized music streaming platform Tune FM announced a $50 million fundraise this week, bringing its total funding to date to $80 million. So the platform allows artists to receive streamed micropayments. Their songs get streamed. Users can earn tokens by discovering new music. Has an integrated NFT marketplace, largely just going after Spotify, but on chain. And I want to talk about this because the ideals of these decentralized platforms that look exactly like Web2 but are decentralized are great, right? It's like artists can really own the relationships with fans, algorithms are open source, developers can build on top without the fear of getting rugged, like blah blah blah, like all these great important talking points. But I just every time I see this, I just struggle so hard to see how you get anywhere by trying to just go compete directly with these platforms. Like all users want the job to be done that Spotify is serving is I want all of the the world's music at my fingertips. And as a disruptor trying to go compete with these, if you have nothing radical to say that can change consumer behaviors and attack this in this really meaningful way, other than
I know. No, this website is a phenomenal website. Just I don't know anything about this project, so
neither do I.
The thing, but I would say here's a few things. Hashgraph, interesting. And then if we scroll right down to the bottom of the page, it has the Google, IBM, Boeing, T-Mobile, Chainlink, LG, Ubisoft, and ServiceNow logos on it. And if that doesn't just scream, I mean, this is just 2017 ICO website here, baby. So that's my issue.
I mean, this is the thing that people should be mad about, not Puffpaw. Well, I just think it's let's go disrupt music. Great, but it's gonna take some completely new vision for where
100%.
What the future of music can look like, what an entirely new artist-fan relationship can look like, an insight into what radically new consumer behaviors crypto enables, going and finding real fit there. And then eventually if you can go take on streaming, great. But by just trying to be this but decentralized, you just have nothing interesting to talk
about. That's why I get so I just get when people are like, oh, so C Club, you're building an accelerator, you're trying to be the Web3 Y Combinator. And I was like, first of all, if we were trying to be the Web3 Y Combinator, we probably don't get to that by building an accelerator, right? It's probably something else there, because you don't just build something big, world-changing by copying what other people have done. And then I think it always comes up in so many, the very first thing people want to go build is it's either a tar pit idea from the crypto backlog or whatever the hot thing is. And I actually think you probably have a better bet on the tar pit idea with with a twist rather than the hot thing with a twist right now. So
for sure. Yeah. It's I would put way more money on, sound, catalog, crate, volumes, and doing that launch yesterday. I don't think any of those are right, but they're coming at it from this insight of what is crypto unlocked. Let's start there. Let's try to find some fit there. Let's serve this kind of new distinct group of people who love crypto and are hanging out here every day, and go from there. I don't know. I just saw this and got. I
mean, I think it's
semi-triggered and was
well, one of the core idea, there seems to be misunderstandings of what a venture backable business is, and maybe it's changing to some degree, which always makes it fun. But I think that's the main thing. VCs are looking to back things that are creating new markets, not ones that are serving existing ones. And
except these VCs.
Wow, but these are token VCs, baby. Are there even VCs on this one? I don't know. Oh yeah. Yes, VCs.
I don't know who led it.
Ooh, TGE Ventures. That sounds like a long-term minded venture fund. I don't know anything about them. I gotta stop talking here sometimes. I mean, I feel like I'm in a judgy mood on Friday.
Yeah.
I judge this.
We start with FriendTech.
Yeah, we're back on. Let's move on. We couldn't talk about this.
Oh, where are we here? My stuff got moved around. All right. Anyways, on being early, if I can find it, whatever.
I don't think it matters.
Yes, there were two good articles this week. One from Nemesis called the Nemesis early, and then another good one from Maddie at Z Prime
called always good.
Always good. Called What Do We Believe? And they both kind of explored our collective obsession with being early. How brands in and out of crypto started using it as a cultural strategy. How crypto's increased, financialized it, and compressed it into its absolute essence with meme coins, and both kind of leave us with this question of where we go from here. So kind of, I don't know, it's just an interesting thing to think about, because it's kind of hard to not think that the like be early meta is almost not completely played out, but like we've reached some saturation point, right? Like at the lowest level, tokens are being launched every second on pump.fun. Like they pump and dump before you can even like blink,
be aware of them.
The water, be aware of it. And then at the highest level, it's like crypto's just actually not, and this is with Maddie's point, like crypto's actually not this subcultural thing anymore. Like you don't just get the benefit of being early anymore by just being here. Like it's, for all intents and purposes, crypto is mainstream, right?
Sure.
So,
okay. Well, I think, I mean, what the shift is that there used to be a crypto, like the space, right? And there was things happening in that space at a volume that you could, I mean, you can never feel like you're keeping up, but I think it's kind of funny if we think about 5 years from now, what keeping up will look like. We'll be baffled by what we've been able to keep up with. So yeah, I think like we no longer have this sort of monolithic culture in crypto. We have a bunch of subcultures, and those I think always existed mostly at the L1s, but I think now they're around more identity or specific categories. And even you hear how Reffo talks about the L1s he's looking at or L2s he's looking at, like Base as a consumer chain, Barra. So there are these subcultures on a chain basis, but I think there's just multiple fragments of places where you can go spend your time, and I think that's been the case since probably the last bull run ultimately, but it does feel like it's more fragmented today, and I think that's probably a good thing. I think I've been thinking a lot about is how crazy it is for the sort of the infra or L1 type of model that so many VCs like and founders are running. It's really about immediate attention, launching above super credibility, getting distribution, etc. But I feel like most great businesses are built brick by brick, and there's sort of a gas pedal, or you have the ability to sort of like feel like you're driving new users, right? People are transacting on your thing, which just doesn't exist. You're thinking what like a growth marketing position would look like at Near or at Base or whatever. So I think there's going to be a lot of founders that are just over the, I don't want to go pay $1 million to get listed. I don't want to, have to play those games and cut financing and all that sort of stuff. And they're just going to go back to, I'm going to put a buy button on my website and I'm going to drive people to it. And it's going to be a slower compounding, but it's going to be a lot more sticky and meaningful. And it's probably the mixture of those two things that's interesting, but it feels like it's so easy to get way over your skis in crypto, right? Yeah. And we just see the landscape littered with those projects. And I think it's because we're chasing that TGE moment, right? And it's that thing, and that's where my money gets unlocked, and that's going to be all great. But I think, again, it's this example of people not believing in this tech, or just being like, yeah, I want my bag, I guess. But it's like, if you believe in that tech, that bag is going to be bigger in the future. If you're building a business here that's going to last 10, 20, 30 years, we want to build an institution at C Club. It's going to exist well longer than you or I are sentient.
Yeah, I think Maddie's point is just what he talks about is how like unhelpful this like deep belief in the 4-year cycle is, because it kind of creates these incentives where, like, right now it creates kind of complacency because we're all just waiting for like the macro gods to come and save all our bags.
They're coming, baby. Thank you.
And then when they come, it also creates these incentives to like, it's like, oh shit, it's gonna end in 1 year. I need to do whatever I can now to like capture value while I have attention.
Sure.
And I think, his point is going to break out of this cycle thinking. We need to get back to, not waiting for top-down capital inflows and get back to, building bottoms-up novel stuff that's actually has substance and enduring value. And I don't know, I think what we've seen like the past SoFon has gone through is actually pretty kind of like illuminating here. Like started off very anchored on these like the early games, right? It was like bonding curve based drops. If you weren't there at the moment, you were late. You were buying else's bags, they were dumping on you. And then what they realized was, if we flip this to a be lucky game, so they've kind of evolved from the bonding curve based drops to more gotcha machine based drops. It's a much more interesting game for all the people who aren't in tune with this be early game. And they saw a huge inflection points of new to crypto users come and participate when they switched to this be lucky game. And I think this week they just announced a new partnership with Triple S, which is one of the biggest K-pop bands. And I don't see a world where they would have done that partnership if they were still playing these be early games, because like these fan groups have no interest, or these artists have no interest in just setting their fans up to get dumped on, right? But if you can just go play this, like spin the wheel, get something, maybe you get lucky, maybe you get kind of the base item, like that's a much more attractive game for everyone that's not here and obsessed with the thousands and being super early.
You can't be early if the thing you're front running is front running you.
Yeah,
Crypto.
this article is great.
Yeah, I think people. I think that's the thing. People are building these sort of bottoms up things, and it's tough because it's not the thing that captures the most amount of attention. But at the same time, I bet a lot of money that it's one of those things that's going to be the thing that is, you know, multi-billion-dollar revenue a year type of business, you know, or so. Yeah, I think like chasing the token meta, infra token meta, is going to work until it doesn't, and it's going to cause a ton of pain at that point. But it's a tough timing thing, right? Because probably the highest EV thing you could do if you're sitting on a project right now is to go push a token out before the next bull run, get your bag. And I don't know how I feel about that, man. I honestly go back and forth on my brain quite a bit. There's been countless times where we could have been way more short-term minded, and it probably would have been very beneficial to a few people.
Yeah,
but
it's not how you build.
Well, I was like, what are you trying to do?
Long-lasting enduring communities. Yeah.
I just like to ask the question: if you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing? I'd be like, some version of this is my answer. So like, what the fuck would I want to go do? Like, cool, let's go. We're in a place where we can go build this for 10 years. Let's go, baby. It's gonna be a massive thing.
Fun. Why would we fuck with that?
But I think a lot of people aren't having fun, right? I think a lot of people see it as like, I mean, I talked to the admins of these DAOs and stuff like that. And a lot of new blood, a lot of first things being built here, and a lot of maturing to be done, I think, as a space.
All right, here's your hat. I got you your hat.
Okay, cool. I thought it might have been a different, make applications great again. I was like, oh, maybe that doesn't fully spell MAGA, but then it did because I had to slowly do the math in my head. And
yes, this was a good post by 0x8 Adrianzi. Just kind of like revisiting the FAT protocol thesis and sharing his perspective on why he thinks applications are the main beneficiary of this shift towards increasingly modular infrastructure. So order flow exclusivity and the revenue opportunities they'll provide, as well as the proven lendiness and moats of good UX and brand. So I think we've talked endlessly about all the leverage that attention dominating, transaction driving consumer products are going to have, but I think we also like talk about it from kind of more of a like intuitive, high level belief. Like ultimately, like that stuff doesn't matter until we actually have great products that people love and are spending meaningful time on, and they're retaining and blah blah blah. So we spend all our time there, but I found this, like he went a level deeper. He's technical. So just kind of like teasing out some of the nuances of how applications will ultimately be able to kind of participate and play in this like MEV game was interesting. So recommend reading it.
I tried to wrap my head around that entire discussion around where MEV lives. Is it on the network? Is it at the application? Yada, yada. A lot of smart people have a lot of different opinions. I haven't read this article, but I'm looking forward to your newsletter later to be able to dive in.
You sent it to me. You probably just like the title.
I stand by my statement. I send you a lot of things. I send you things I know you're not going to watch either, just because because I saw it. I mean, this always comes back to, like, I had a lovely conversation with Fred Wilson last time I was out in New York, and we were just talking about the early days of USV. And I'm like, what was the insight that led to USV? He's like, it's 2001. I don't know if it was pre or post. I think it was kind of around the big crash. Really difficult time to go fundraise. That's a whole other story. I'm sure he's written about. But his smooth brain take was, we just spent billions of dollars on infrastructure. Clearly people are going to build cool shit with that. And his entire thesis was betting on the apps. They're in Twitter, they're in GeoCities. I think he did GeoCities, which is such a goated move. I love it. And so I think that's like a smooth brain way to maybe look at the future here. Or, they don't always happen the same way, right? Rhymes rather than repeats. But look at all this money that's going into this infrastructure, baby. There's so many cables out there. I mean, I think that the challenge is that it's probably better to have $10 billion in cables than it is to have $10 billion worth of L1 tokens. But smooth brain, baby. We like it. Give me one lightning round. Lightning me.
I loaded it up today. I mean, I think one.
We should just do an episode that's just purely lightning round.
We should just rip through lightning round. I think
we've
got to call it.
Hey, shout out Paris.
Yeah, Winnie from Chip, been grinding hard. Ended up forming a partnership with Paris Hilton, which we love to see. Maybe this one. I just continue loving. like no one is more bullish on cults and meme coins than Murad, and I think this post specifically about SPX 6900 was like as bull as I've seen.
I acquired 2.8% of the supply.
Yeah, I love it.
Let's get right on. I want to know what the hell's going on here.
Believe in something. Me too.
He's got a thesis. Very vocal about it. I love it.
Got a thesis indeed. All right.
Alrighty. Another lovely episode. So Josh and I are in Singapore next week. If you're out there, slide into our DMs. Love to hear what's on the go. We're dreading the flight, but excited about being there with you all. What else we got going on? So a reminder to subscribe to Josh's newsletter. Keep getting such great feedback on that.
It's
so
good.
if you're not on it, get on it. What else we got going on? I mean, I feel like my entire brain is just preparing for next week.
Me too. Everything's like a
black.
Get
my body in place.
Yeah.
And the flight's such at a weird time too. I'm like, okay, wait, it's a Sunday flight, but at like 1 a.m. So I'm like, okay, Saturday. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll get there. Hopefully we'll get there. I think we'll get there. Every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're here with Internet Explorers, your weekly rundown show and all the cool shit that's happening in consumer crypto, and apparently our opinions and judgments today. But hey, that's kind of what you get sometimes. Always authentic-ish.
We'll be live next week too. Nicholas and somebody will be stepping in for us. He's a very well-spoken, much more technical than us, so he can speak to some topics we can't. So it should be a good show.
Amazing. And we'll have this show up on our podcast, your favorite podcast player of choice, very shortly. We get to review this lovely interview with Puffpaw, founder Reffo. We bitch about FriendTech, figure out about Drip, and then we talk about on being early. Is there still time to be early? What a hook.